Hi, this is Mike Glenn again. This is the M5. We're going to be talking a little bit about it. It runs the same as the M7. So the basic principles are the same. You want to use as little water as you can do to get the material to work for what you want to do. You're also going to be able to adjust how hard it will hit, just like the M7s. Here's your water controls. Now I have mine up on a metal workbench that's bolted to the ground so that it doesn't move. This table cannot move any more than the M7 can move. Simple little operation. This comes in a 12 volt system and a variable speed 110 volt system. You can also get it in a 220, but 110 is normal. So it can go into your lab, or it can go into your shop, or a 12 volt, you can take it with you out in the field, run on a 12 volt battery, a deep cell one, probably about 4 hours, depending on how hard you're running it. Figure not more than 5-gallon bucket an hour. Same thing if you're running sluice cons. It would be better to classify the material. It would also be better to take the magnetics out before you run on a table or any other kind of concentrator. Now, this is the 110 volt variable speed laboratory discharge one end. If you want to take it out the end, you can take it out this end, or you can use a vacuum cleaner to take it out. This is your riffles. The riffles are, the first ones are to make a concentrate, the second ones are for your testing, to see how well you're running, to make sure you don't lose any gold. I'm going to be running some of our ore, and this has a surfactant in it that we have. You can also try soap, sodium carbonate. It depends on what you need. You don't want any float gold because it will float off the table if you're not real careful. Okay, this is my laboratory unit. This is the one we keep in our lab. It's 110 volts, variable speed. Now, the way you start this is you have to turn it all the way up to get the motor running, and then you crank it back down to the speed that you want. So you turn it on, take it up, slow it down. That's about the speed you're going to be running it at. Now, turn on your water. In your trough, it doesn't really make any difference how much water you're running, but you don't need any more water than you need for it to get going. The top, the same as the M7. You want as little water as necessary to get the job done. All you're trying to do is push the lighter material down and keep the heavier material coming up. Now, you can start adjusting your weight or your height and how hard it hits at this point so that you can see where you're at, and then you can adjust your speed. Now, what I'm going to do is start feeding some ore onto here. And give you an idea of what it's like running. So here we go. Now, you can see how we're washing our material down into the trough here, and you can now see and if you have to move your trough, turn your water off, pop it up, and now you can see where you're doing here. Now, in here you can see that we have our fine gold, our heavy gold, our black sands, and our silica. And this is the way you would be running it so that you can see it. Like I said, now this material is sitting right about right here. To get it to come up higher, we lower these set legs so that it can come up. Okay, you can see that I've taken off the trough, so we now can see where we're at here. So now if I want this material up here higher, which would be what I'd want if I was trying to run maximum amount of material, we lower the table down. So we're going to take it down a little bit farther. And we're going to turn the table up a little bit. Now, once again, you can see how your fine material is really working up the table. You can see it's all the way up to here. The finer the material, the faster you want the table running, because you want a real short cycle for it to move up. The bigger material you run slower so it has time to drop. But now you can see our separation. Our really fine material is coming up here. Now we've moved our line is up here instead of back down here. And that's the way you would do that. You want to adjust it to get to where you want this top line to be when you're running. The higher it is up here, the more material you can run because it has more time to sit on the table. Now, this is a good example. You can see it, most of my material is trying to move over this way. That means this side of here is higher. So you need to lower that side down a little bit, and that'll push this stuff over here. So we'll do that. And when you adjust the legs for height, you adjust the motor to make it move around better. You're just listening to it and looking at it to see where you're doing. Now once you set this up to where you want it, then you tighten everything down nice and tight, put it back in here and start running. Now you can see how we've now made our material more straight. And once again, we can get it to go up the table more by simply lowering the table more. Very simple, very small movements until you get where you want. Once you get to that point, just let it run. Now you can see how our silica is down here. We've got some really light material here. Here's our black sands in here. This is our bigger pieces of gold in here, our finer gold, and then some really fine particles that are trying to move up the table. Okay, now that you've been playing with it and now you've got it set up the way you want, now you set your trough back in here, you start feeding your ore. And what will happen is now your gold from where you've got it set will now move up the table farther because you're putting more material on the table that's pushing it up. This table works the same way as the M7. Actually, it works the same as the M10. So if you get one of these and you're working in the field and you're running 12 volt, It's a little bit more difficult because your 12 volts a little bit more touchy than this control here, but it's the same operation. So once you learn how to run it, you can run the 5, you can run the 7, you can run the 10. You know what you should be looking at. You should be listening to the machine. If it's nice and steady and solid, you know that it's doing what it's supposed to do. If you come back in here and it's starting to miss beats and stuff like that, you know there's some problem is gone on. So check it, see what's going on. Your screw may have come loose from how hard it hits. If that's the case, tighten it down so where it's at. But you will be able to run all the tables in the same direction. And like I said, this is a little bit easier because it's real easy to pull the tray out of your way, see what you're doing, but it works the same. This just runs a little bit more less material than the big 7s and the big 10s.